Good morning, good morning. Hey y'all, it's Tanala. So I have a quick message, and it is to ask more questions. It's okay to ask questions, okay? It's okay to ask questions. Did you hear what I said? It is okay to ask questions. And it sounds so simple. It sounds oh so simple. Like, what do you mean? Like, okay, everyone knows that you should ask questions. Okay, yes, everyone pretty much does know that you should ask questions, but do we always do it? No, we do not. And the reason why a lot of us don't ask questions when we really want to ask is because we have a fear. We have this fear that if we ask too many questions, the other person will become frustrated with us. We have this fear that if we ask too many questions, someone may think that we're dumb or something. But you know what I just began to realize? I began to realize that asking questions have made me smarter. Asking questions have contributed to my intelligence. Okay? So, ask more questions. When you are in class, when you are at that job, when you are talking to people who you just met, even if it's people who you already know, when you're talking to them and they say something you don't understand, ask questions. I promise you, you will find that a lot of people are happy to answer your questions, okay? A lot of people are so happy to answer questions because what it does is it gives them a confidence boost, okay? A lot of times it gives them a confidence boost when you ask them questions on something that they know a lot about already. It makes them feel like, oh wow, like I do feel important. I do feel like my job here is important. I have someone asking me questions like, wow, I do get to tell them, you know, something that I know all about, something that I'm interested in that, you know, people around me don't usually ask. I finally get to answer that. It gives a confidence boost. And like I mentioned before too, it allows you to become more smarter when you ask questions. Like I said in my last video, if you haven't watched it yet, be sure to watch it, okay? I will try to link it in my description when I get a chance. But my last video, I was basically talking about how God has me in this season of facing what makes me uncomfortable. So something that has always pretty much made me uncomfortable is asking questions. And what's crazy is when I was younger, I used to ask plenty of questions, plenty. You know, I didn't mind raising my hand in class and asking questions over something that I misunderstood. But whenever I got older, or as the years went by, I used to notice that other students would be like, oh, Tanala, you're always asking questions. But the thing is, my grades always reflected off of those questions that I asked. People would be like, oh, Tanala, you're always asking questions, da 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 da. But the thing is, when I would ask those questions, it was for my understanding. It would also allow me to achieve higher grades because I asked questions about things that I did not understand. And you notice that a lot of times when you don't understand something and you don't ask about it, do you not notice that you end up seeing that same thing in life over and over and over again until you at least try to understand it? And that's with anything. That's with anything. When it comes to school, when it comes to your job, when it comes to just different things in life. You may hear, you may have a friend and your friend is talking about something and you don't understand, but you're not telling your friend that you don't understand it. And then later on, you end up seeing that same thing that they're talking about, or just hearing about, you hear other people talking about the same thing that they're talking about. And it's all because you didn't ask questions. You didn't ask questions. Nothing in life disappears, y'all. Nothing in life disappears. Okay? You must ask about it. You must put your pride aside and ask, man. So, as I was saying before, as I was saying before, I used to ask a lot of questions. People would become frustrated. Therefore, that made me go into a shell, and I stopped asking questions, okay? And that does not help at all when you are in college. I'm going to tell you now. So for my college students out there, or if you're thinking about going to college, and also if you feel like you are too old to go to college, or you feel like you miss your opportunity to go to college, there's no such thing, baby. If you want to go back to school, or if you feel like you should go to school, go. Hold on, y'all. I got to pass by this big truck. But yeah, if you feel like you should go, then go, okay? Anyway, like I was saying, that does not help at all when you go to college, okay? And a lot of times we're afraid to raise our hand and ask a question. And in college, because there are a lot of people, or you're afraid for your voice to be heard, or you're afraid that people will laugh at you because you're asking a question. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. I know y'all have heard this so many times before too. A lot of times when you ask a question out loud, you are asking for a lot of people who are beside you. A lot of people beside you or around you don't understand it either, but they are too afraid to ask. So why won't you be that voice and speak up? Okay? And the perfect example was yesterday. I put my pride aside. The professor, she was talking, and it was something I needed more clarification on. Okay? She was like, any questions? Okay, so while she was talking, I wanted to, raise my hand and go ahead and ask. I'm like, no, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to try to figure it out on my own. So I just felt this nudge and this pull on my spirit and my soul saying, Tanala, ask. You may be asking for someone else around you. Ask. Okay? But I'm like, no, I ain't going to worry about it. Then right after that, she was like, any questions? My hand shot up, boy. My hand shot up, and I asked. And then it's like the people around me, they looked so relieved that I asked. They looked so relieved. You could tell that they were in fear. They were too afraid to ask about it. They looked so relieved that someone had finally asked their questions. And then what did it do? What did me asking a question do? It encouraged those around me to ask questions. Someone else's hand had shot up as well. Y'all, don't do this at home. Don't record and drive at the same time. As I was saying, it encouraged those around me to ask questions. And so when the professor answered my question, she was like, wow, that's a good question. And it encouraged her to do some thinking and figure out, what exactly she meant as well. Okay? So it pretty much challenged the both of us. And you could also tell it gave her a confidence booster. She began to go into more detail about it. And you could tell she was just extremely excited to answer my question. Y'all, professors are so excited to answer questions. Okay? Do you not notice that pretty much at the end of every lecture, they ask if you have questions? Did you not notice that? They ask it for a reason. They want you to ask questions. They may think that is probably, they may not think it's too boring because, a lot of times teaching is their passion. But it spices up their day when someone challenges them, or not even a challenge. Because me asking a question, I didn't do it to challenge nobody, y'all. But it just wakes them up a bit and like, wow, like someone, they're really paying attention to me. Like, wow, these students are really paying attention to me. They are asking questions. Like, wow, oh, I see she or he, they're not afraid to ask. And also, it allows them to kind of get to know you. Like, it allows them to kind of have their eye on you. Like, oh, I see that this person right here, she asks questions or he asks questions. Okay? So, that's not all. I recently received a new position at my job. And so this position requires me to ask so many questions. And y'all, when I say I did not like doing this, like I did not want to, because this certain position, it can be very overwhelming. It could be very overwhelming for the people around me, but they don't let it affect them. It could be very stressful. It requires a lot of critical thinking. It requires a lot of focus. It requires patience. It requires you to not take anything personally. It requires a lot of wisdom. It requires a lot of intelligence. And it's like God put me in a position. He put me in this position where I had to put my pride aside, and I had to face being uncomfortable. And see, a lot of times when I really want to ask questions about things, I don't. And I try to do the research on my own, or I try to figure out on my own. And so I can't do that there. Dealing with this position, I cannot do that. I can't just try to figure it out on my own. I have no choice but to ask. There's no way around it. I have to ask. And so a lot of times too, I will find myself like, yeah, I'll ask some questions, but I will also find myself trying to figure out a lot of things on my own before I ask questions. Okay. And so I would notice that a lot of the people who are over me, they will always say, Tanala, ask questions, ask a lot of questions. Like, we're here to help you. And in my head, I'm like the enemy talking, y'all. Enemy will be talking like, they don't really want to help you, or they're gonna get frustrated with all the questions you gonna ask. Like, girl, just do it yourself. But the thing is, this specific position right here, it's a lot of things you can't just do on your own without knowledge. Okay, like if you do it on your own without knowledge, then you're gonna screw someone's life up, like literally. Okay, like it's like a life or death situation, and if you don't ask questions, you can potentially I still don't think I'm saying it right, y'all. A little tongue twister. You can really screw someone's life up. So I'm really I'm put in that position where I have no choice but to ask questions. A lot of them at that. So, and also, y'all, another thing too, be more honest. So finally, I told one of the people who were over me yesterday, I told him, I said, look, I just really appreciate how, y'all are always here to help me. And he was like, yeah, that's what we're here for. Like, we want to help you. I was like, I know that this environment is very hectic, and, I don't be wanting y'all to stop what y'all are doing to answer my question, or I keep feeling like I'm asking too many questions. And he said to me, he was like, you're not asking too many questions. And he said to me, you are supposed to ask questions. You're not going to get everything in a snap of a finger. We had to start somewhere. This environment requires you to ask questions. And then someone else who had been working there like years and years before me, she also agreed. She was like, yeah, she said, I still ask questions. She said, yeah, you have no choice but to ask questions over here. Like, you have to, And then he was like, yeah, I would rather you ask questions than to try to do things on your own. Like, ask me. So I'm like, wow, like, it just gave me so much encouragement, y'all. It gave me so much encouragement. It made me feel better. Like, it confirmed what my spirit was telling me. I had been bickering back and forth with God and what my spirit had been telling me, like during moments when I'm supposed to ask questions, and he'll be like, ask questions, just ask about it. Because it's like I will find myself like, God, what do I do? Like, how do I do this right here? And then he'll just be like, ask questions. And I would just find myself going, like, bickering back and forth with him, like, no, they're going to think it's too many questions and all of that. And he would confirm to me that they want to help me. And whenever I finally just came out and I was just honest, and I told the person over me, when I told him exactly how I felt and why I don't like asking questions, it's like he just confirmed exactly what God was telling me all along. And also, y'all, it's just been giving me a lot of wisdom. And also, too, if you ask someone a question and you still don't understand, do not be afraid to speak up. Do not be afraid to speak up and let them know that you still don't understand. Okay? And then the thing is, a lot of times we are afraid to do that because we don't want people to view us a certain way. We don't want people to view us as dumb or ignorant. Y'all, when you put other people's opinions behind you, and when you put the thoughts of other people behind you, woo, you are going to soar so high. I'm telling you, you are going to soar so high. You got to put other people's opinions behind you. You got to put that behind you and say, you know what? If they think I'm dumb, so what? At least I asked. And at least I asked instead of making probably what would be an even dumber decision by just doing it on my own. If these people in this classroom think I'm dumb for asking this question, then whoo, so what? At least I asked. So I say to you today, ask more questions. Be more honest. Be more open. And put the opinions of other people behind you. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love y'all so much. Be blessed. Bye.